Hi, Nick Collier here, and this is my shop. Come join me. We'll have some fun. Well, good morning. It's Nick Collier here, and today we've got, well, it's not exactly an interesting job because I got to do 20 of them. I hate that. But it is an interesting job because we're going to be dealing with the tracer attachment for one on my lathe. I don't get to use that often. It's kind of a fun thing to use, and we're going to have to take a really interesting approach to get this master built for the tracer attachment. So we're going to basically, I've laid out my piece on the mill table. And what's happened is you can't just take one picture. You gotta, because it's such an intricate piece, you gotta take a series of pictures. So what I've done is I've laid it out on the mill table with a scale below it and a little bit of lightness behind it. And then I'm gonna rotate the mill half an inch per shot. And so basically I'm just going half inch, half inch, half inch, half inch, half inch, half inch, all the way across this piece, and you'll see the piece in a minute. And take each shot, take it down to Photoshop, segment those. It's going to be what, about 6 or 8 pieces, or 6 or 8 shots. Put them together so that I have a perspective of each segment, rather than a single shot and then a pan of the rest of the segments of the piece. We're going to bring you in. We're going to go back down to the house right now and do the other part of this, and we're going to take our pictures of this, and we'll see you down at the house. First thing we're going to do is make this thing a little bit bigger. Let's take it up to 33%. And then we're going to take each one of these segments along with the ruler and crop it. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that. We're going to go crop, and we will go from, from the edge of the ruler over to the half-inch mark. There's the edge of the ruler. There's the half-inch mark right there. And actually, if we're looking at this, this is not that picture. So let's get rid of this inner backspace. So this picture is more, and we want a direct line with what's going on. See what happens here. We have a single line here, but as we get over to here, it's more of an arc. You can see the disc. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this one, and this is just an example of what I'm doing. So we're going to take the 9, we're going to take a little bit of the 9 so we can read it, and then go over to the half-inch mark right here, and then enter that, and save that as a single file. And then bring all of those files over to, and I've already done this, bring all of these files over to, and segment them together, and I'm going to move one file so you can kind of see. So there's that one segment right in here, and we're just going to raise it up and drop it down just so you can see each segment is separate from one another and the perspective is dead head on. So got all these put together. Now I bring it in as a unit, size it down to the right size, and then print it out. Can you see that? Print that out as a print. Now we're going to take that and go up to the studio, and we're going to glue this print to a piece of, probably a piece of brass, and then saw out each one of these little segments until we get a perimeter that we can work from. Then we're going to put that on the tracer attachment and run the tracer across the flat surface. So we'll be back. All right, well, we're going to use a copper sheet mostly because it's easy to saw, and we have to do some intricate sawing, so let's make it easy as possible. I would normally just take and cut this out in the shear, but the shear has a tendency to roll the metal, and with copper especially, it tends to roll a lot. So we're going to saw this out, and here we go. All right, so we're sanding this surface just to give ourselves a good surface for the glue to bite to, and we'll just get it cleaned up enough, get some of this sponge off of it, and get it cleaned up. So now the next thing we want to do, and we have this is the cut edge that I just cut, and we have a nice machine surface down here. So we're going to go with the machine surface. And we're going to bring our, let's see where this thing's going to land. It wants to land somewhere right around in there. So we're going to and that's pretty good. We got ourselves a nice straight line. We'll lay our piece in here and know that it wants to kind of be centered on that line, and that looks fairly good. We're going to mark the outside edges of this. And we're probably going to take an entire tube of super glue. Maybe. It's entirely possible this tube has been compromised in the past. So we'll cut the bottom off of it because we're definitely going to use all of it. And we are, yep, look, it's crappy. Let me go get another tube. I'll be back. All right, let's try this again. We got a new tube. This time it's fresh. We'll puncture it. And just start glopping glue on. That's interesting. And now what we want to do is take some kind of spreading instrument and spread it out.
right. Drop our piece of paper down on top of it. Get it centered. And get all the air bubbles out. All right, that looks pretty good. We got one little air bubble right in there. I think we can live with it. Maybe just a little bit more here. Well, I think we used up our whole tube. There we go. Yeah, that's better. And there's one right over here. Done deal. Okay, we let that sit for, oh, I don't know, an hour, half an hour. Let it dry out real good, get good and solid, and then we'll go into the saw it. Okay, we're gonna start with a fairly coarse jeweler's blade. You know, comparatively speaking to a metal blade, it's fairly fine, but the jeweler's blade has a lot more accuracy and gives me a lot more control. So we're going to start by that, and we're going to load that into my power saw here, and we'll go from there. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get this saw going. We're just going to go fairly slow here. We're going to bring our fence down. And we'll start in. Now I'm expecting to go through a half a dozen blades here. Okay, now we're in the jewelry making section of my shop, and we're going to take some more accurate files and see if we can trim this thing down so that it's a cleaner version of what we want. That's better. Everything else looks pretty good. Now, the grooves themselves, my tracer attachment won't follow those grooves in, but we can put a V in there and it'll follow that in and back out, and then we come back in later and set the grooves with the and you know what, it looks like it might be better to take this out and put it on the vise to get these grooves in. So we will do that. We'll be back. All right, so we're going to put it in here this way, and you're going to watch me filing from the back side. I need just a little more light. And I need to get a chair that's got me going down low. In fact, lower than that. Tell you what we're going to use is a bucket. Okay. All right, so now we're going to come in with a really small file and just clean up these edges and make sure that we've got a nice smooth transition. Okay, so now we need to drill our holes, and this is pretty thin material and it's just barely sitting there, so I'm going to give it a little support with just a piece of wood. And then of course not put a whole lot of pressure on it. All right, so we take our pattern and we drop it in over the top of this. Maybe wipe off these surfaces just a little bit. There's one side. Let's go get the real wrench. Be back. Okay. Take that down till it binds a little bit. There we go. And we're going to bring this one in. All right, well, we're going to cut our lengths of aluminum here. The original piece that he wanted, we needed 1 5/8 in order to accommodate, and now the piece is about 1 1/4. So I've got a bit of machining to do before I can actually get down to where I want to be. And I may just come in and just knock off the top of this with a regular bit rather than try to tracer it down. Okay, so in this part we're just roughing out the surface because the material we got was too big by about, oh God, who knows how much. So, oops. Drop it into centers, swing our dog around, and we're ready to go. Oops, wait a second. Go until it touches. We're going to take 30. Yeah, 30. Well, good morning again, Nick Collier. Hey, our pattern just isn't quite right. The little divots that I put in here, I put them in just a little bit too deep, and so the pattern, when I cut it, the grooves come out a little bit too wide. So, well, I think what I'm going to do is just go ahead and mark this, and just take this entire thing down by about 1/8 of an inch, and then we'll end up with the same perimeter, and with the little divots just slightly less. So hey, let's go ahead and cut that. All right. Well, first thing I think we want to do is let's get some bluing on this, and we could use a pen, but I want it on good and thick, and also I don't want it to burn off when I'm grinding this, and I think I'm going to put it on the little circular grinder and go ahead and grind it down. So we'll let that set up for a few minutes, and then we're going to come in with the veneer calipers, and go from there. All right, so we're going to just take just most of this off. And I'm looking at probably just this much here. Let's bring it back a little bit so we got some room to maneuver. So just a little scratch. Well, and that should do it. So we're going to just, I'm wondering, might be just as easy to hand file it, have a lot more control. Let's just see what hand filing will do. We're going to move you over. We're going to start out with an old bastard file. Yeah, it's working pretty good. It's almost down there. Pretty good. That almost has it. Now we've got two little dinky notches that we'll be able to kind of just get a little bounce in there. And that'll give us an indicator as to where we want to go. A little bit more. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Get a little piece of sandpaper and just kind of make sure we have nice smooth edges here. All right, let's put it back in and see what we got.